All right, so here we are. We've covered everything we need to cover now. We have a nice looking explosion. I'm going to switch back over to the low res pieces that we can actually scrub through. Remember that we changed the force on our explosion back down to 200. So the only thing I want to do for this lesson is resim it, but we might as well just resim it like crazy. Let's change this to sim version 3. Let's change the current wedge, or let's have it do more wedges. Let's just go completely nutso. I'm gonna say let's do 6 different wedges. So crazy. But instead of driving the strength of the glue of the outside or the strength of the glue on the inside, let's actually drive where the explosions happen. So let's go grab our control panel thing and set that up. Control panel was back over here in the sim. There it is. I used to have this pinned here. Let's bring it back to that. So it's in the forces here. It's this scatter business that is where the explosions go. If you remember, when we move this around, it's scattering the points in different places, and it's the global seed that does it. So really all I want to do is let's drag, it's based on $F right now. Let's use the current wedge thing, put it here, channel reference. Let's still do it based on $F, but in order to have it be different from wedge to wedge, let's just add whatever this number is times 1,000. Cool. So on wedge 4, it's essentially starting, it's going to have a different distribution of these guys. So let's say on frame 3, this is where it is. So on wedge 0, it's where it was. On wedge 1, it's going to be here. On wedge 2, it's going to be there. So as you can see, they're just going to be all over different places for each explosion each time. And from that, we'll just choose which one we like best. It'll just be a different series of explosions going off, and I'll just say, I like this one the best, and that'll be it. So, well, then we'll render it, I guess, too. But for now, here we go with the final sims. And this is going to take a while. So I'll see you in the morning. Okay, and we're all set with that. Sim's finally finished. So let's go see what they look like. Go back to the first frame. I'm going to say, let's go out to the object thing. And we're not going to use the high-res geometry to look at these. We're going to use, because we're going to watch all of our wedges at once. So I'm just going to say, let's make sure that our low-res ones are up to date. So in fact, I'm just going to make a new version of our instance geometry just to make sure it's all in the up and up. I mean, these embedded / reference pieces that we're writing out here for the instance version, I mean, they're super low res anyway. So it doesn't really matter how many versions of these we make, but I just want to do this to make sure that everything is absolutely up to date. Let's write out our low-res ones. Save the disk. Let's write out our high-res ones. Save the disk. Cool. Oh, that one's going to take a little bit longer because it has to do that whole brickering thing, but there it goes. Great. So now we're confident that we have the newest and bestest, so let's go to the wedge view, and we'll have to back up into our wedge camera so that we can see them all. And that's unusual. Looks like this instance node has a problem. Unable to read file. Instances version 0. Well, we're definitely on instance version 6 here, so that doesn't make any sense. So something about apparently the way we're setting the path here is wrong. So let's just look at that real quick. And I can see this is the problem here. It's looking at it thinks the control panel is in this geometry node. I'm not sure how we got away with that before. But either way, let's change it back to, the control panel lives over in the sim. So it's not reading in the right version number. So those pieces are probably flown off somewhere in space. And this should probably, there we go, wonderful. I was really hoping that would work. Great. And I'm just going to skip to the end just to make sure that we are getting any semblance of what I expect to see. And looks like we have it. Cool. Great. So let's just take a flip book of this and let's compare them and we'll decide which one that we want to go with. Cool. And so here are all of our wedges. Blam. Lots of cool stuff in there. I like seeing the insides of these rooms here falling away. That might look cool from the other side. In general, it's just interesting to basically sim a whole bunch of buildings at once. You could do, massive city simulations in this manner, where you just have a whole bunch of buildings in the background. They're all getting blown up in different ways. And then ultimately just choose the ones that you like the most. These two, I think, are still kind of my favorite. I'm going to say probably, I really like the first one still because it leaves all of this structure here, this kind of slope up to the side. I think there's a cool action of it kind of coming down from the side. But I could also see this one working pretty well. Which one to go with? I'm going to say we go with this one. Let's go with Wedge 0. Cool.